the right side of the racetrack, the higher qualified car. He chose the Radford side. That's the McLeod Clutches FTI machine. Taking on Chad Green for Bonco. Boxo Tools, the Gator Nationals winner. Funny car points leader, Jordan.
Chad Green, yes, the winner in Gainesville. And Paul Lee, if you haven't heard of Play NHRA, you need to. And you need to get on there because he is my long shot pick for this weekend. Paul Lee and team ended 2024 with as one of the scariest contenders in the class. They had a great closing to the year. And Johnny Lindbergh and John Medlin as crew chiefs on that car. Jason, they might be the perfect pairing of old and new.
They may be. This is a interesting track over their history, of course, for Johnny Lindbergh. He was involved in a little tussle down there on the top end once with John Force in a Nitro Funny car when he was driving for Jim Head. I actually made notes. I'm glad you brought up Play NHRA on a couple different matchups this round, and this was one of the tighter matchups in the head-to-head battles when the odds came out today. Chad Green fires off as the lower qualified car in the 12th spot at minus 135 to win this pair. Paul Lee, a slight underdog, at plus 102. Basically means Paul Lee was just short of even money when this pair went off this morning and the odds came out. McLeod on the right, Paul Lee, Bonco on the left, the points leader, Chad Green. Funny car back for round one. And it's Paul Lee off the line first in a bit of an upset. Even though the car goes silent down there, 444, 196 miles per hour. Chad Green drove into smoke first, tried to pedal it. Paul Lee took the tire off just before half track and coast to the win. 444, 196, Paul Lee into round two. Joe.
I'm here with Johnny Lindbergh, got the win light, clicked him off down there in the lights. Johnny, what are some of the challenges associated with a long wait like that?
A lot of second-guessing yourself, I guess, but we were lucky there. We dropped a couple of holes, so I shot him off with the safety box here, and now we just need to go back and figure out why he dropped holes.
Well, if he's going to do it, he's going to have to go through one of these two, he being Bob Tasca, and these two being Blake Alexander and Paul Lee. Pronto Auto Service Center machine of Blake Alexander. Cloud Clutches machine of Paul Lee. A couple of Dodge Chargers down there on the starting line.
And the rubber match between these two, 9th career meeting between Paul Lee and Blake Alexander. It is 4-4. Both cars did not make a clean pass in round one. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think we're going to see a pedal fest right here. I'm going to call it.
Okay. Cloud Clutches, main line. Businessman who born in New Jersey, makes his living in Southern California now. That's Paul Lee. When Paul Lee's bored, he goes and plays big-time poker tournaments. He jumps out of airplanes. That is an adventurous man down there on the left side of the racetrack. He is an excellent business person. Turned himself into quite a funny car driver as well. Johnny Lindbergh, John Medlin tuning that race car. Blake Alexander, the Pronto Auto Service Center. Brand new team on the right side of the racetrack. Focus Parts Authority working with Chad Green. Matt Bynum getting his first shot to be the primary crew chief on one of these machines. He's done a great job of Blake in that race car. Trying to send them to the semifinals, just their second event. Blake Alexander with the better reaction time. Both cars dancing around, and a 396 gets it done for Paul Lee. 3.964, 319 miles per hour. Paul Lee with low ET of the round in Nitro Funny Car. And Johnny Lindbergh says enough about Bob Tasca and Jack Beckman. Watch this, 396.4, 319 miles per hour. Paul Lee picks his lane over the number one qualifier in the semis, Joe.
Johnny Lindbergh, how much did that cloud factor into your tune-up right there?
The cloud cover came in, and the track tightened up a little bit, and we finally start getting a hang of this new car. And like today was 17 years ago, Eric passed, so I think he's watching over us and helping us a little bit too.
Paul Lee in BT3, here we go. As the cars rumble to life. The Motorcraft Mustang, that is Bob Tasca, the third in the right lane, and Paul Lee with lane choice goes to the left. In the FTI Charger. Cloud Clutches. Family of businesses Paul Lee owns, Silver Sport Transmission, Competition Clutch. And Paul Lee looking to advance to the third final round of his Nitro Funny Car career. To do it, he's going to have to go around the #1 qualifier. One of the 2 fastest men in the world in an NHRA drag race is Bob Tasca III. Of course, he and Austin Prock, Tasca who did it at the pro event last year, and Austin who was the first to do it in NHRA competition at the World Finals.
Tasca with that 3.97 with a 9 in round 2, and Lee with low of the round at 3.964. But the numbers seem to suggest that Tasca's car might be even with Lee. An 881 60-foot for Lee and an 899 60-foot for Tasca. Tasca might not take as much staging this round, and he should have plenty of power for Paul Lee.
Johnny Lindberg and John Medlin make the tuning decisions on the McLeod car. And Todd Okahara walks away from the Ford Motorcraft machine with Aaron Brooks standing behind it. Tasca Lee, semifinal. Bob off the starting line first. He puffs the tire, and both cars go silent. And Paul Lee coasts to a final round, 441, 207 miles per hour. I did not have a 441 winning semifinals, a Nitro Funny Car, but Paul Lee is going to the final round here in Phoenix, Joe.
Johnny Lindberg all day long. It has been such a challenge, fighting the heat, fighting the sun. You're going to the final round. Tell me about preparing for that run.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to drop the hole again, but like I said earlier, I think Eric's looking down and taking care of us today.
Play NHRA instant replay. And another look. Oh, Paul Lee had a hole out at the hit. Watch Tasca. Look at him pedal it, rolling into the throttle. And then at the same time, look at Bob's probably right now regretting it. Bob clicked it off, I think, as he was rolling back into it because Paul Lee was driving away. And then Paul's car went silent. And you saw Bob slap the pedal one more time and went in his head. He's probably thinking, gosh darned it, I shouldn't have done that. Austin Prock and Paul Lee with Nitro Funny Cars at the ready line. No matter who wins this race, Jordan, it's going to be special. For Austin Prock, we are at the site of his first Nitro Funny Car win 1 year ago, where he won the race with his father, with his brother, the thing this family dreamed of growing up. Thomas never wanted to drive. You know this. Austin wanted to drive race cars. Thomas always wanted to work on them and tune them, wanted to be like Dad. Austin wanted to be like Grandpa. And this was the site where that magical season, that magical run to a world title last year in his first year driving the family funny car, came to fruition. The Cornwell Quality Tools Chevrolet for John Force Racing. And for Paul Lee, his third Nitro Funny Car final round of his career. All of them have come in the last 9 months. They've all come against Austin Prock. Paul Lee's tired of losing to Austin Prock in the final round. Paul Lee wants to win in a Nitro Funny Car. He has invested his life into being a Nitro Funny Car driver. Successful businesses that he has grown so that he could fund this, so he could go out and be a Nitro Funny Car race winner. That is what Paul Lee has dreamed of his entire life since he was going to Old Bridge Township, Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey, watching 64 funny cars light up the night sky. Here's his opportunity. Paul Lee's car comes to life. And now the Cornwell car follows with Austin Prock. As the McLeod car completes its burnout. Final couple checks from Jim Prock. Body comes down to the Cornwell Chevrolet, and Austin will roll through the water on the Radford side of the racetrack.
You're right, Jason. 2 unbelievable stories finding themselves here in this final. And I asked Jimmy Prock when they won Indy last year, is this a dream come true? And he said, not quite sure yet. And I think how the year turned out, that dream did come true. And it all started here in Arizona. And you're right about Paul Lee, a guy who always dreamed of being a funny car racer and built his businesses to put him in a position to where he can be competitive in this class. And my long shot, Paul Lee, finds himself here in the final. He was my long shot then. And in this final, he is a long shot as well. Can Prock return to the dominance that started here last year? That 396 for Prock last round, I think he will be better than that. So Paul, Johnny Lindberg, John Medlin, got to go for it.
The McLeod Clutches team over on the left side of the racetrack. Paul Lee with Johnny Lindberg and John Medlin tuning that race car. And Austin Prock, the defending event and world champion. For Cornwell Quality Tools, John Force Racing, Chevrolet. There's some history to be made here, no matter who wins the Arizona Nationals in funny car. Paul Lee rolled it in deep. And He leaves on Austin. Austin smokes the tires, and Paul Lee is the 96th winner in NHRA Nitro Funny Car history. 4:03 at 313 miles per hour. Paul Lee can finally say, I am a Nitro Funny Car winner. On the 18th anniversary of the death of Eric Medlin, there is John on the starting line. A day this team said felt like destiny. It was indeed the day that Paul Lee becomes a Nitro Funny Car winner. Austin Prock was 63 on the tree, drove into smoke. That is an incredible pedal job by Austin Prock to catch it. But Paul Lee into the night, 4:03, is a winner in Nitro Funny Car, Joe.
Here with John Medlin, has done so many things in your career. You've now helped deliver a win to Paul Lee. How much went into this victory?
Breathtaking to me. It's a big deal because this is the anniversary of Eric passing away this day today, and we saw more fours on that scoreboard than I've ever seen in my entire life. So I think he just took his thumb and he pushed that car right into the winner's circle.
Amazing moment, and I know you have deep feelings about that, Eric being here today, and now you have scored a win. We are thinking of you. Tremendous victory. Congratulations, John.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And we'll throw down to the top end of the racetrack with Amanda Busick.
A feeling about today as the Wally goes in the hands for the first time ever for Paul Lee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Paul, 18 years ago, we lost a brilliant light in Eric Medlin, and you just delivered John Medlin and Johnny Lindbergh a win here in Phoenix, and yourself a Wally as a funny car driver. Could you have scripted it any better for yourself?
So I think this is like a dream come true. I mean, today was just surreal. I mean, the whole pit was calm. We were calm all day. We prayed that Eric was with us, and he was. And I'm going to tell you something. This trophy is going right to John Medlin on the starting line because we are blessed to have a guy like him still in the sport and helping all our young guys learn the sport of drag racing. So God bless John, and thanks to all our partners, Mainline Sales, McLeod, FTI, Gates, Redline Oil, Justice Brothers. This is for you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. We lost Bernie Federley this week. He worked closely with John Force Racing, Austin Coyle on the team. We lost Eric Medlin 18 years ago today. And Paul Lee, who 3 times hosted a Wally as a top all funny car driver, all of them back in 2004, 21 years later, realizes his dream. He's the 96th winner in Nitro Funny Car history. He does it here at the Arizona Nationals.
You built it from the ground up. You brought John Medlin in 2 seasons ago. Last year, you went out and hired Johnny Lindbergh to be the face of this team from a tuning standpoint, to work with and learn from John Medlin. And I think a lot of people at the time kind of went, Johnny Lindbergh? Alcohol funny car, ton of success. He drove a nitro car, but nobody had him on the radar as a tuner. You saw something in Johnny Lindbergh. He tuned you to 2 finals last year. He tuned you to an all-star win in Indianapolis. And now he has tuned you to your first national event win. What was it that you saw in Johnny?
Well, first of all, both Johnny and I both come from the alcohol funny car. I raced alcohol funny cars for 18 years. I won Wally's in alcohol funny car. And Johnny is a world champion in alcohol funny car. So we kind of, you were always friends at the track. And you know, when we talked last year, I needed a crew chief, right? I had John Medlin, one of the best as a consultant. You know, Johnny Lindbergh called me. We talked about, hey, you want to, be in the crew chief on this car, and you can learn from John Medlin. And I called John Medlin. He said, perfect pick. He says, I could really teach that guy, and he can really learn. He's like a sponge, and he is. Look at the guy. He's going to be one of the all-time greats. He's only 35 years old, and look at him already. He's got a big future in this sport.
And what most people don't realize, he did a lot of the chassis work on this new car for you as well.
He did. This is a brand new chassis, and it's taken us, some runs to get used to it, but he did the fabrication on all of it. This guy can build cars, tune cars, drive them. He can drive them, and he can do anything on that race car. He's like another Don Garlits, if you will.